Okay. Now, today I'm going to speak about the COSTA project update. I will give you some results from our participation in this COSTA. We act as the Greek member state coordinator, and we were responsible for the Greek area. My presentation outline is as follows. First, in the beginning, I have an introduction. I will give you the perspective of LNG as fuel. I will set the scene. Then I will describe the COSTA project. I will give you some details on that. Then some results from the studies from the project dedicated to the port of Piraeus and in general the Greek core ports, also for the Greek short-sea shipping. Then I will give you some information about what is the next steps and some conclusions. In this slide, you can see the area of COSTA implementation with the red color. As you might know, in 2020, we are going to have a sulfur cap in this area of 0.5. And this gives us an explanation why we are trying to deal with LNG bunkering, because this will give a mandatory rule for the ship owners, for the ship operators, to follow that sulfur cap. Going now to the supply, EU strongly supports the spread of LNG as bunkering fuel, and there is this directive that is going to be discussed in this April. What this directive says is that in all core port of EU, we have to provide LNG as marine fuel by the date of 2025. So this is a mandatory regulation that will cover the supply and give us also the opportunity to think that we will have enough bunkering stations, because, as you know, the LNG as fuel is the chicken and egg problem. You cannot have ship owners willing to retrofit their vessel if we do not have the LNG bunkering station, and we cannot have ports willing to do this massive investment if there is not a sufficient number of vessel operators willing to do the retrofit. So this picture gives you a clue what will be the Mediterranean after 2025. You see all these ports in green color that will have to provide LNG as fuel. So there will be an adequate network of bunkering stations, and the ship owners don't have anything to worry about that. The only reason to worry is how they are going to get the money to perform the retrofit. So, going now to COSTA. COSTA is a project funded by the Trans-European Network, European Trans-European Network. It developed a master plan, or you can say that it developed a roadmap towards the transition to the LNG era. It developed some recommendation on the demand analysis. How much LNG do we need now in our ports? Where do we have to locate these bunkering stations? How are we going to overcome the technical and logistic issues? And how we are going to create a sustainable market for the LNG? On the map, you can see Greece, Italy, Spain, Portugal, and also the ultra-peripheral zones of Madeira and Canary Islands. Here you can see the beneficiaries. From Italy, it was the Italian Ministry of Transport, the RINA, the Classification Society, various shipping companies, technical companies from Greece, Spain, Portugal. There was also an external stakeholder expert group providing advices to the consortium. In more detail, what we did in this project, We started by performing some market and feasibility studies. We as OceanFinance, we focused on Piraeus, Thessaloniki, and Patra. We managed to quantify the fleet profile and what are the potential users in the future for LNG. We took into account the remaining life of the vessel, the operational profile of each vessel, what is the typical route for the vessels that operate in the Greek ports, and then we revealed the LNG needs in each port. I have to also to mention that, as you know, the Greek coastal shipping exhibits seasonality, and we also had to take that into account. And then we performed an LNG flow simulation, and we came up with the infrastructure requirements in these ports. How many barges, how many LNG tanks, pipelines, and whatever might be necessary to provide the LNG bunkering. Then we did the financial modeling for the ports and the vessels, and we made an evaluation under uncertainty and calculated the sweet spot, the break-even point for LNG surcharge on each port. Now, this slide gives us a good answer why we should start discussing LNG as fuel in Greece, especially, as the previous speaker said, Rotterdam may be the biggest port in Europe, but Piraeus is the biggest port in the Mediterranean. So if anything has to start with for LNG as fuel, then our belief is that it should start from the port of Piraeus. The shipping industry, the suppliers, the financial institutions, the shipping companies, the ministry are all in line with this attempt, and hopefully in the near future we will have LNG as fuel in the port of Piraeus. Now let's see some results for the port of Piraeus. This is the base scenario. We have assumed that we managed to get an EU co-funding. The base scenario says that we will need a storage tank located nearby the port of Piraeus. We will also need a bunker vessel with a capacity of 1,000 cubic meters and 8 LNG trucks to perform the bunkering for the vessels in Piraeus. If we make the financial analysis of the initial cost and the operating cost, then we will see that we will need something like 100 million euros to perform the investment. The operating cost will be 14 million euros per year. The future LNG demand will be at minimum 500,000 cubic meters in 2020. And in order to have a sustainable investment, we will have to charge for the bunkering services 170 euros per ton in order to provide the bunkering if we don't manage to get EU funding, but this is not the case. Or if we manage to get a 75% of EU funding, then the surcharge decreases to 97 euros per ton. Now, let's see some results from the nearby ports of Italy. In Genova, the initial investment is similarly at around 100 million euros. We have similar operating costs, 15 million euros. The surcharge is 110 euros. We have the same results for Napoli, and we can see for Ravenna that the surcharge is too high. Then Ravenna is not a candidate port for LNG as fuel, and some results also for Venice. Give me now an example what will mean LNG bunkering to the Greek ship owners, because in the everyday business there are many asking that specific question: is it feasible for my vessel to shift to LNG? The answer is not easy. The answer is that it depends. It depends on the initial LNG price. It depends on how you operate. It depends on what is your vessel-specific characteristics. Now, let's start discussing about this example. Let's assume that we have an LNG chief price delivered to the LNG import terminal of Revithousa at 10 euros per MMBTU. This is equal to 512 euros per ton. We are using euros because the project was EU funded, and we have to do by that way. So if we add the surcharge of 95 euros per ton, then the final selling price for the LNG as fuel is 609 euros per ton for LNG. And we can compare this price with marine gas oil and heavy fuel oil. Then in this diagram, you can see that the spread between marine gas oil and LNG is 111 euros per ton. LNG is cheaper, but LNG is more expensive than heavy fuel oil. If we put this in a diagram, we can say that for a spread of 111 euros per ton, for a ROPAX vessel operating the Greek seas, we will demand 8 years to have a payback period. This is from the safe side because, as we know, when this vessel will be candidate to shift to LNG, the retrofitting cost will be much smaller. If we compare the other two alternatives, LNG and heavy fuel oil with scrubbers, then we will see that LNG is dominant, mainly because scrubber is also a very expensive investment, and LNG has decreased specific consumption compared to heavy fuel oil. Now, as for COSTA, we had the political closure in the EU Parliament this February, and the big conclusion is that the EU foresees LNG regional projects between 2014 and 2015. And as my friend Panagiotis said, we managed to form a consortium and submitted a proposal named Poseidon Med. This is almost the same slide. We have, this is a subset of the companies participated in this initiative. We have energy suppliers, LNG suppliers. We have ports from Italy, from Greece, from Cyprus. We have other ports willing to enter in this initiative from Venice, Malta. And going to the conclusions, as I have only 1 minute, we believe that LNG is the dominant scenario in the future. When we started in 2009 thinking about LNG as fuel in the Mediterranean, it was just an idea. Now we know a lot of things. We have many things to do, but this is not yet, this is not a crystal ball. This is not something that we don't know what's going to happen. We have mandatory regulations covering the supply and the demand. That means that we have to do something. And we do have the EU member state approval. We have it from Spain, Portugal, Greece, Italy, Cyprus, strongly supporting the LNG bunkering in the Mediterranean port. We have to simply transfer the know-how from the Baltic and the Singapore. And 2 final comments from the infrastructure works. We have huge investment costs. Hopefully, EU has a good co-funding portfolio. The 10T, regional cohesion funds, European Investment Bank, PPP, And I think that we will not have a big problem to provide infrastructure works in the Greek ports. But the key issue is how are we going to raise money for the Greek ship owners, especially for the coastal shipping? Thank you very much.